Good evening, Maya, and it's time for bedtime once again. And here's one of our favourite books that we used to listen to all the time. Charlie and the Cheese Monster. Remember that? Yes. Charlie and his dad were building a rocket out of an old sledge, bits from a bicycle, cardboard, a plastic bottle, hangers, glue and red paint. Charlie's dad found a small motor, and when you pressed a button on it, it sounded like the rocket was going to take off. He made Charlie a helmet too, using shiny foil. There's Charlie there in his rocket. Later that night, after bedtime, Charlie noticed a full moon shining up through the window. His rocket sparkled in the moonlight, so he put on his helmet and stepped inside. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Charlie pressed the button on the motor. The noise started, then grew louder, and then the rocket began to move and shot straight out of the open window. Whoosh! The rocket swerved upwards. Charlie could see down into his garden and his whole town. Soon all Charlie could see was a blue-green ball that he knew was planet Earth. He was a bit scared but mostly curious, so he kept looking down at the Earth as it grew smaller and smaller and smaller. Bang! There was a big jolt, and suddenly the rocket came to a stop. Charlie stepped out of the rocket and looked around. The ground was creamy white and felt bouncy. Charlie knelt down and dug his fingers into the surface. It smelt very familiar. It was his favourite food, cheddar cheese. He was on the moon, and it really was made of cheese. But you're eating up the moon, Charlie cried. What if you run out? The cheese monster laughed. We can't run out of cheese. Come with me. Charlie's new friend led him to the dark side of the moon. Charlie couldn't believe his eyes. He was looking at the biggest cow he had ever seen. This is Millie. We milk her to make cheese, said the cheese monster. Let me explain. Charlie had lots of fun with the cheese monsters. They let him help make a huge block of cheese. Then they took him back to his rocket. Charlie counted down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and waved goodbye. He pressed the button on the motor and the rocket zoomed up through the air. Soon there was a rush of noise, and Charlie flew back through his window and landed on the floor. Charlie climbed out of the rocket and looked up at the moon. It was a little smaller already. Charlie climbed into bed and fell asleep. The next morning, the moon could just be seen smiling. Charlie went down to breakfast, and it was his favourite. Cheese on toast. That was Charlie and the Cheese Monster, Maya, and now it's time for bed. So sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. I love you and send love to everybody. Good night.